Hey Happy Crew, HappiDaze here. In today's video, we are reviewing some of the New Year Legends that just came out. So we all waited for today, Christmas Day, to get some awesome news on the upcoming New Year's Sugo Legends, and Bandai did not disappoint. So just to do a quick recap, I wasn't able to get a live action response video, just because today was kind of crazy with all the kids and everything else going on. So I was able to see the quick snippets that Bandai put on their website, but I haven't seen the in-depth actual captain abilities. So because of that, I just want to go through them one by one. I'm only going to focus on the Sabo unit for this video, but we'll have videos out for Whitebeard and Ace, as well as for the Luffy unit, as I kind of digest them a little bit more and understand what they do, and what kind of Bandai wants us to do with those units. So with that being said, let's just go ahead and go right into the notice. They should be hopefully in-game now to actually check what their full abilities are. It looks like they are. So yeah, let's go ahead and start off with Sabo. So he's a int cerebral fighter unit. Okay class, maybe he'll be good on the PvP side. Int has been getting a lot of buffs recently. Cerebral needs a little bit of help in that regard. They just released the Vegapunk units to kind of help boost that Cerebral team, but they kind of really weren't all that if you saw my video with some of the latest pulls there with the Shock unit and some of the other Vegapunk. So who knows, maybe his GP will kind of help us out here. But before we get into his actual Rumble abilities, let's see what his character actually does. So if the crew is afflicted with 10 or more status effects, which is quite a bit, that might be a little bit difficult to get 10. We'll have to see if hopefully his kit provides some way to get around that. Then it boosts into cerebral and fighter character's attack by 6.25, otherwise you get it 6 times. So perfectly okay chain multiplier, attack multiplier there. Not the best. A lot of units do around 6, so it is what it is. Can't complain there. And then HP by 1.2. And then, so we can do a Rainbow Captain of 4.5 if they're not int, cerebral, or fighter. So, it has a little bit of flexibility there, but ultimately, it's just okay. He also reduces the crew's despair duration by 10 turns. So unfortunately, there's so many units now and supports that can help get rid of despair that despair is becoming like one of those buffs that just aren't really that threatening. So while it's nice that he can help get rid of 10 turns, like there are a lot of ways around that today. So that's not the biggest deal. But then he makes crew's tandem slots have matching slot effects, so that's pretty good. And then remove special bind completely on himself. So special bind is annoying to deal with, especially if there's more than 5 or 6 turns. There's a much more slimmer selection of rare recruits and things that can take care of that as opposed to buffs like despair. So yeah, the fact that he can remove it is fine. That means that we're probably going to see a lot of that on the upcoming Blitz battle, which is a pain to deal with. But yeah, having that ability isn't that bad. And then if you use a special to boost the advantage class effect, extends the duration by 1 turn. Perfectly okay. That's pretty good utility there. And then lastly, if they're a captain and they perform an excellent tap on the action special, then instead of getting a 6.25 times boost, it looks like they will get a 6.5 for 3 turns. So yeah, that's perfectly good, of course. Yeah, we can't really complain about that. Get a little bit more 0.25 multiplier added there. So yeah, not bad. A little bit extra damage for 3 turns. So his captain ability is just kind of okay. I wish it was something a little bit better than the despair that they had out there. I think if it was some other debuffs, it might have been a little bit better. But hey, it is what it is. At least he gets the special bind removal, which kind of helps as well. You know, it's only for himself, not for the whole group. So yeah. With that said, let's go ahead and check out what his special can actually do. So, 13 turns, which is pretty good. Deals 300 times character's attack and non-type damage to all enemies, ignoring defense. That's awesome. Again, you could use him maybe as a wave clearer on things like Kazuna and things like that. So that's always good. You'd love to see high attack, especially to multiple enemies, and through defense is just the icing on the cake there. And then he reduces special bind on the crew. Okay, so that's good because on his captain ability, he can only remove on himself. So this helps get rid of 10 turns on the whole crew, which is awesome. Also gets rid of burn, which isn't really that big of a debuff anymore. If you can kill the unit in 1 turn, or the enemy that you're facing in 1 turn, then you don't even have to take the burn damage. So the big benefit here is probably obviously the special bind, and for 10 turns is pretty awesome. And then we'll apply a territory cerebral class to the field, which will just give you extra damage and reduce some of the damage that you take as well for 3 turns. So that's perfectly good, just a little bit of extra damage there. And if you have advantage class effects boost or the cruise, I believe that's the that's the tap timing bonus icon. Sorry, it's a little small, so but it looks like that's the tap timing icon there. So if you have one of those with 5 or more turns when the special is launched, it basically boosts the chain multiplier 1.5 for 2 turns, and you can actually do additional buffs on top of there. So that's that's not bad. It's going to be kind of interesting to see how we get more than 5 turns. Obviously, that's always a pain to do. But if you can, that ability to have the 1.5 chain boost up to 2 times is pretty powerful there. And then lastly, after that, boost Cerebral and Fighter character advantage class effect by up to 3 times, depending on the action special. So that's pretty good. Yeah, for 2 turns. So yeah, I mean, ultimately, like, his special is not really that bad. He gets a little bit of utility there. You can get a little bit extra damage out of that, which is always good to have. So yeah, overall, like, his special is like it's okay. If for a New Year's Sugo unit, maybe it could do a little bit more, but like overall, it's not like terrible. Like, he's not like absolutely god awful where you might not want to pull this guy. So let's take a look at what his EX Super does. So you need 2 characters on the crew, which is good. 2 is pretty low, so you like to see that. Unfortunately, outside of Luffy, Ace, and Garp, a lot of those other units really aren't that great. I mean, Kuma has some good units, and maybe even Nico Robin has some good units. So the activation might be a little tough, but I think you're going to see most of the characters that you have on here are going to be Luffy, Ace, Garp, Kuma, or Nico Robin as kind of the characters to trigger that EX Super ability there, or you can do special 8 times. So I haven't seen anything in his kit that would indicate that like he reduces people's special multiple times. So I think it's going to be tough to get that special off 8 times. So yeah, we'll see. Unless you have like the Vegapunk units who have the special where it keeps rewinding, maybe that might be a way to do it. But outside of that, yeah, that second part of the activation requirement is not going to be done too frequently, I don't think. So his actual EX Super Special changes the crew's slots, including block. That's awesome. I love any time a EX Super changes block slots. Is fantastic. I mean, there's going to be a lot of awesome use there, and it switches them to tandem. Of course, this capability makes the tandem matching, which is great. Gives a ton of heal at 8,000 HP for 10 turns. So I believe this is somewhere kind of not the same amount, but Garp, the Galaxy Impact Garp, kind of did something similar to this. With some end turn healing, but yeah, 8,000 HP is pretty good for 10 turns. Like, that's pretty good. And then further increases the crew's base attack boost by 1.5 up to 4,000 max. Like the base attack boost is just like, it's just such a garbage. Like, the damage that you do just like isn't that great compared to some of the other buffs there, and that's why like when you see like units that have final taps where it's just increase like attack, you're like, oh my god, this is like a wasted final tap, right? So yeah, that's kind of disappointing that it only does the 1.5 attack boost to the base attack boost, not to the regular attack. So that's a little disappointing. But then it doubles Cerebral and Fighter character slot effects for 1 turn, so that's a pretty good effect, and you can overwrite that if you have one that can give you a higher one, so you'll have to see that. And lastly, changes Int characters to Super Int and Cerebral to Super Cerebral. So ultimately, I guess the good news here is that if you use this unit, you can at least get 3 out of those 10 status abilities on yourself, right, in order to activate that increased damage that you can do as part of your captain ability. So that is nice that they kind of give 3 out of 10, but still, I think it's going to be a little bit of a challenge to get 10 different buffs on yourself to be able to satisfy that captain ability there. But so let's take a look at that. Let's see what we can do as a crewmate. So he reduces character special bind duration by 10 turns on himself. Okay. And makes Cerebral and Fighter characters' tandem slots have matching effects. So yeah, we kind of talked about that already. Like, it's always great to have matching tandem. And then lastly on here, this is pretty garbage. Just a base attack of 70, which is very bad for Cerebral characters. For Fighter characters. And then for Cerebral characters, you get a 1.1 additional there. So like, ultimately, like, it's just kind of meh. His crew abilities aren't really that great. He does get a super tandem. Let's just see how many characters he has to have. So he has to have 1 more character than needed for EX Super. Looks like it's pretty much the same cast of crew that you saw there, except, like I said, you just need 3 instead of 2. So again, I think that's where this unit's going to hurt, is that there's not really many great units of outside of obviously the Luffy, Ace, Garp, and those I mentioned before. Like, there's not a lot of great legends there or rare recruits there that can kind of deal with some of the buffs that we deal today. So it's gonna be interesting seeing to build teams for this guy. But if you can get 3 of those characters on your crew, you get a tandem boost of 3 times to Fighter and Cerebral for 1 turn, which is pretty strong. And changes the attack multiplier of int, recovery, and tandem, and rainbow slots to 2.5. So you get like 0.5 extra buff there. Always love to see additional damage. So yeah, not bad at all. Has fear, which is just kind of for his potential ability. And then yeah, like his potential abilities are just whatever. Nothing kind of too crazy there. Let's check what he can do as a support. And he can go on to Nico Robin, Kuma, Hack, Betty, a bunch of the units that you see there. And if you have special bind, reduces it by 2. So that's actually pretty good. Like, the reducing a special bind is actually pretty good for a support unit. That could definitely see some play. Like I said, the problem is like where are you going to see a lot of these units? Obviously, Nico Robin has a lot of good units out there. Kuma's seen some love recently, but like otherwise, you're probably not going to be using a lot of these units on your team, and thus won't be able to attach a support there. It'd be nice if there was a much higher range of characters that you could put on there, but I guess because it is a really good support effect itself, maybe they just want to restrict who we get on there. So that's a little bit of a disappointment, but his support effect, the effect itself is actually pretty good. So let's go ahead and take a look at his Rumble stats. Let's see what he can do there. So as part of his captain ability, he gives int type cerebral class teammates attack up 6, defense up 6, speed up 6. So obviously anytime I see attack and defense and it's over 5, like that's automatically a good sign. So I do like that. I think he'll definitely help out. And the current int team is like pretty stacked already, so I don't know if you'll be able to flip this guy on that team. He has a 55 cost character, right? So that's the tricky part, is that the reason you can fit units like S-Hawk on the current int team is because they're 20 cost units. So the question is, would this guy replace anyone on the int team? And so far, I haven't seen anything that would be like, oh yeah, this guy like is better than any of the current meta int units. But let's see. He also gives himself a self-shield level 10, which is super strong, so that's good. And then for the first 40 seconds of battle, he gives himself an increase of speed 10, which is just kind of whatever. But a special CT speed of 5 is really good. Like, that is kind of crazy for himself. It'll depend really on what his special CT level is. If it's like above 30, then maybe it's not so good. But yeah, let's go see what his actual special does. So let's go down to max level. So it is 28. Wow. So it goes down to a 23 with the buff that he gives himself at the start of the quest. So that's really good to at least get the special off. And he targets int-type cerebral class teammates for attack up level 8. Pretty good. Pretty fantastic for 20 seconds. Gives them, a special CT speed up level 5 for 20 seconds. That is really good. The fact that you can give your whole team level 5 CT speed up, like if you have this guy with Blackbeard on the same team, like that's going to be nuts. Blackbeard's just going to literally nuke your opponents from being able to get their specials, and then this guy is just going to make your whole team just speed up and go super fast. So that special CT is really good. Blow away is just kind of whatever. Like, I think that's a pretty lame gimmick. Like, it doesn't really see much use in terms of actually having that percent up high. So yeah, it's just kind of useless there. And then targets 1 high defensive enemy, ignore defense for attack 2.2. So yeah, it's just a kind of whatever, just a little additional attack there, but probably nothing too crazy. And then for the first 40 seconds of battle, targets 1 teammate with high CT speed for a haste. So obviously he gives himself a buff at the beginning of the battle. They want you to get this off. If you have a 23-second cooldown, like, you're going to get this off the first time guaranteed. So you'll automatically haste one of your teammates, which is kind of cool. So like ultimately, well, before I make my judgment on him, let's just see if he has any GP stats as well. So for int type teammates, he gives attack, defense, speed up 6, cerebral fighter, powerhouse, attack, and speed up level 6, and special CT speed up level 3. So again, like, this guy is really helping on the CT speed, letting your team go, use their specials. So you'll see this guy. I think you'll definitely see this guy on more cerebral based GP teams. But yeah, he can certainly help out your int team as well, just getting your specials going. But obviously they want you to really have int cerebral and that will kind of give you your best bang for your buck in terms of number of buffs that you get there. So an okay GP leader skill. Let's see what his burst actually does, and the requirement is after dealing 40,000 damage, which actually isn't that much. So at level 5, he targets Int type, Cerebral, Fighter, Powerhouse class teammates for attack up level 10. Oof, that's pretty good. And 30 seconds is a pretty long time, so that's good. Special CT speed up level 10. And you can use it 3 times. Wow. This guy is going to help you get your specials off, as long as you can build it in those classes. But like I said, you see, for example, the fighter team, right? The strength fighter team. You can see some stuff there. I think the new Luffy is a fighter unit as well. So, yeah, I mean, like, he'll just help your teams get their special off, like, super quick, and just decimate your opponents before they're able to really do anything on their side of the fence. So that's a pretty strong GP burst. The fact that you can do it 3 times is pretty good. To also targets 1 high defense enemy, nor defense for leaders based attack times 3. So similar to what he could do with his special, where you just target 1 defense. I think it was 2.2 on his regular special. It just gives you a little bit more damage here. And then, on top of that, this is nuts. Instead of just giving CT speed up level 10, he gives a 30% CT reduction for Int type Cerebral, Fighter, Powerhouse classmates or teammates that you have on your team. And then targets enemy teammates with special CT of 100% for haste. That is nuts. This guy is going to let your team go, like, super fast, like crazy fast. Yeah, that's pretty nuts. Yeah, I mean, overall, like, I can't complain about this unit from GP. Like, I think you'll see Int Cerebral get the biggest jump from this unit. But certainly, if you build any of these other teams that fit into Fighter, Powerhouse, or even just straight up Int, you'll be in a really great spot to just absolutely get your specials off quick, decimate. Int is already so strong. Powerhouse is pretty strong too. Cerebral and Fighter are a little bit lagging behind right now. But yeah, like this is a perfectly good special. So for the first unit of Sugo, the New Year Sugo that we're reviewing, like, his Pirate Rebel ability is really good. So I'd be curious to see how he actually matches up against Whitebeard and Ace and against Luffy. But like I said, we'll do those videos probably tomorrow, just so we can actually kind of have time to digest what they do, and we're not recording videos at 2 a.m. trying to figure out what they're going to do there. So overall, my thoughts and opinion of the new Sabo unit is, like, I think he has some good utility. Like I said, I like that special bind removal. I do worry that the 10 status effects on your side might be a little hard to trigger, but we'll have to see how that actually works in gameplay. But yeah, he's a completely passable unit for New Year's. I'm glad that they chose a unit. Like, I wasn't expecting to see a Sabo unit. I was expecting to see a Luffy unit, 100%. Was not expecting to see Sabo. So it was actually good to see a character who I wasn't expecting to see as part of the celebration. And let me just say that, like, when I first saw the teaser trailer for Sabo, like, I got super excited just because I was like, oh, they have Emu on there, they have the Elders on there. I actually thought maybe that they were going to be introducing some of those characters as part of the New Year's Sugo. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, but Sabo is still a really good unit. We don't get him too frequently in TreCru, so that's good. It's not like it's another V10 Kaido or another V10 Big Mom. I mean, granted, we got him last time with the ASL batch, which is kind of similar to what's happening with this Sugofest, where you have Ace, Luffy, and of course Sabo as well. But still, like, you don't see this character too often, so I'm okay with them bringing back Sabo for the New Year's Sugo. Interesting choice. Like I said, he's really good in PvP, and I think he'll see some use there. But let me know in the comment section below, like, what do you think of this new unit? Are you going to use him a lot? Do you think that it's going to be tough to activate that 10 status effects for his captain ability? Or do you think it'll be pretty easy? Let me know. And of course, if you haven't, like, subscribe. We're going to have a bunch of videos out over the next couple days. So tomorrow I hope to get a video out for Whitebeard and Ace, as well as the new Luffy. And then, of course, we're going to be doing some summons at the Sugofest once it goes live on the banner tomorrow. Haven't decided if I'm going to do, like, a YouTube live thing versus just recording the video and just posting it. Haven't quite figured that out yet. Do need to check out the steps, so I might try to get out which part should you pull video. But as you can see, like, there's already so much content I'm trying to get out there as quickly as I can that I don't know if I'll have time to get that out there. But hopefully, we'll see. So until next time, as always, be kind to each other.